All right, Indiana and Maryland, a Big Ten matchup. Maryland, 14-point home favorites, 50 the total. It's not a good sign for Tom Allen when you're barely beating Akron at home in overtime. Although that being said, Akron is better this year. That would have been so sweet for Akron to win that game because I'm sitting on over 3.5 wins with their win total this year. That would have been a monster to get that an upset win against Indiana for the win total. But Indiana survives with the win against Akron. Tavian Jackson, I'm telling you what, the quarterback, Tavian Jackson, the quarterback here for Indiana, man, he scuffled his way through the majority of that game against Akron. We'll see if he can play a little bit more consistently here this week against Maryland. Maryland, I've been impressed with Maryland the last couple of games since the halftime of the Virginia game because they didn't play great against Charlotte. They struggled in the first half against Virginia, but they woke up in the second half and they blew the doors off Virginia in the second half, and they took care of business as they should have. I laid the points on the road with Maryland against Michigan State. We talked about it. Michigan State's in total disarray now since the Mel Tucker shit went down, and it has shown, and Maryland had their way pretty much that entire football game with Michigan State. A very, very solid, workmanlike 31-9 win for Maryland, still undefeated on the season here. I think this could get ugly for Indiana. Like if Indiana plays the kind of offense and struggles on offense to the extent they did against Akron, they're going to be in trouble here in this game going on the road. And they have not played a true road game yet this year either. That's something to point out as well. Every game they've played, Ohio State, Indiana State, Louisville, and Akron, they've all been in the state of Indiana. So they're finally going out of the state for the first time here. And Maryland looks like they're coming along nicely here. I'm not saying I'll lay 14, but it's a favorite or pass type of spot for me. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, it's tough because their schedule's kind of been easy. They go to Michigan State, like you talked about, it's horrible. Easily beat them, which they should have. Like come back home and should win this game here with Tua. I don't know what to make of Indiana. You mentioned this is our first road game. I haven't seen a ton. We know they have trouble moving the ball. They cover against Ohio State. Ohio State, that was early, 23-3. And they were down that Louisville game, right? And they came back, covered that game in the second half. Can their defense keep them in the game? That's what it's going to have to be, I think. Can their defense, kind of keep them around? Because I just don't love this offense enough. If this keeps moving, I just don't know if I want to take Indiana on the road. But if this keeps moving maybe to Maryland later in the week, I could look at Indiana.
Yeah, it's just, you're right. Indiana's played a couple of teams that are tougher than what we've seen from Maryland so far. But again, now you're going.
And they have the Akron game.
Yeah.
It's last week. It's just, and on the road now. Exactly.
Yeah, this is even from a total standpoint, because I could make a case for the over because the last two Indiana-Maryland games the last 2 years, they've been shootouts. Tons of points in both of them. 50 might look a little light because I think Maryland will certainly score. The question is going to be, what are you going to get out of Indiana in this game offensively? But if you trust them more than I do, I maybe lean over here with the total being where it is here, just at the 50 range.